What's up, Online Empire Academy? I'm so excited to be here. I'm Joshua Woodward, and today we have on a kind of a different twist on the whole private label idea. And I know we've touched a little bit on this before, but today I have Hawk Mikado on, and he is a marketing expert. And one of the biggest things that we've kind of been going through and kind of touching on is this whole idea of making sure that your brand becomes a brand, and as you're private labeling, that this actually becomes something bigger than yourself that you can pass on again and again and again. And so I wanted to kind of touch base with Hawk because he's the one that is the marketing expert. He knows how to market this stuff so that it ends up selling and ends up getting the conversions that we all want. So, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this. We had a ton of technical difficulties, but it's working now. So we're pushing through. Well, I want to know your history. How did you get started in this industry?
So I got started in as an entrepreneur. Actually, I'll start there. When I was in second grade, my dad brought me to a supermarket. I was getting great grades, and he gave me $5 to go buy anything that I wanted in the store. So I went and I found what I still love it to this day. It's organic dried mango, and I went, I grabbed the entire bag of it. At the time it was like $5 a pound, not $15 a pound. I think it's actually like even more than that now, but doesn't matter how much it is, because as long as I can make the money to buy it, I'm
There
good,
you go.
right? So I literally ate the entire pound of mango from the time we checked out to the time that we got to our car. And I asked my dad, I was like, "Can I get some more? Like, this stuff's really good." And he looked at me and he said, if you want to be able to eat mango like that, you're gonna have to figure out how to make it for yourself. So there's no way I'm gonna buy it for you." And so that was where the spark for figuring out that making money was possible and easy. So the next day, I went into school. We had just learned how to make the origami paper balloons and the paper fortune tellers, and made a bunch of them. And on my walk home from school, I started going up to people and asking them if they wanted to buy them. And that was really how it started. By the time so I went from a quarter to, when I was in third grade, they went to $1. And by the time that I was in fourth grade, I was making more per hour than my parents were.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and then by the time I was in sixth grade, uh, I started doing marketing for my family companies, and my friends and everybody in my class actually had an opportunity to create a fake business. My dad encouraged me to actually turn it into a real business, and so I bought a website, and at the time it was called Project Hawk, um, and it just grew and developed from there. In 2012, I had by 2012, I should say, I had learned a lot of lessons. Had my Can I cuss or some semi cuss on here?
Just
Just
be
curious.
careful.
Okay, I had my arse handed to me. I fell flat on my face, and I realized that there was a lot of things that I didn't know,
Huh.
and so um, I went back and I started learning. I got coaches, I got mentors. I went to school. I went to vocational school. I got how I don't know how many different certifications, and as a result of that, I started looking back at all of the businesses that I had worked on, I'd helped start, I had started myself, and figured out which ones were, based on which ones were successful and which ones had failed, why they had all been successful and why they had all failed. And I learned that there was really only a couple things that you need to do to be in business and be successful.
Huh.
um, and when I realized that, I started putting those practices into place. I started honing in on them. I started analyzing what the bigger corporations were doing, what the ones that had succeeded and thrived through the recession, the horrible recession, not the Great Recession. And that
That
was a
was good.
joke.
I like that one. That was
Um,
good.
I yeah, that's a whole different discussion, right? There's a whole podcast on that. And I analyzed Disney, I analyzed Google, I analyzed Samsung, Nike. Um, I looked into a little bit on Target. I looked at all of the best-selling authors. I looked at the seminar speakers, and I realized that every single one of them was doing the same thing. It didn't matter if they were a Fortune 100 company or they were just making their first $100,000. The process was always the same. And the ones that followed the process were able to consistently make the revenues that they were looking to make, were able to make the impact that they were looking to make, and they were able to grow their company as a result. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but
Absolutely. No, I want to know. You kind of alluded that you were making more. I think you said in the 6th grade than your parents. Can you tell a little bit? What were you doing
grade.
in 4th grade?
Yeah, per hour. So I wasn't making more than my parents because I didn't I didn't work 40 hours a week. But I actually I started making like the lanyard necklaces, keychains, the ones made out of hemp. So made them with beads and all sorts of stuff. And so I invested like $100 in a bunch of different colors of hemp, a bunch of exotic beads from all around the world. And I made them into different shapes and different things. Some of them were practical, some of them weren't. And I'd go to the store and I'd ask people, just go up. The same thing I did when I was selling the paper balloons. I'd go up to people and say, "Hey, you want to buy one? It's just $50." And I'd have people look at me like, "What do you mean it's just $50?" Like, especially at the time I was 1990 something. So, $50 at the time is probably more like $200 in today's world. But it was just, it was like I spent like an hour on this. Of course it's worth $50. Like my materials fees between my time, it's like, well, I don't have $50. Okay, well, I have a $20 one, that one took. And I calculated it based on how much time it took me and how much the materials cost. So, if it was $5 in materials and it took me an hour to do, it was $45. Like that was my kind of formula. And I usually, since I didn't like dealing with 5s or 1s, it was $50, right? I was like, I do the same thing today with hundreds now. It's like people are like, it's $397. You mean it's $400? Or
Totally.
it's like I'm like, I don't care about the $3. Like, I mean, I care about the $3 from like because I have to care about money.
Totally.
Because there's a important relationship there, which is a mindset key of success. But from like a logistics perspective, it's like it's $400, not $397. Like, I mean, yeah. So there's a lot of really interesting things that came out of that, and realizing that making money is really easy.
Yeah.
Of course, since I was a kid and I learned how to make money really well, and since I was a kid, I learned how to spend money really well. That's still something that I do today. I spend money really well.
That's awesome.
But it's if you want something, you can earn it as long as you're adding value to people. And one of the things that I learned later in life was that my cuteness added to the value. Being in 4th grade, being this little kid going up to people, that had its own financial value that I could do it today. I'd have to hire a kid to go do it for me. Right? But there's child labor laws against.
Yeah, that might not be legal.
So
let's not do that.
It doesn't work, right? Yeah. But, yeah, so that's kind of where that came from.
A lot of us have these influences in our life that believed in us and kind of coached us through this process of like, hey, this is how you make money. This is a great way to do X, Y, or Z. And I love your story because it so practically implements. Your dad's like, no, you can't have more mangoes. You ate them all. You're gonna eat me out of home. And then he's like, you got to make money. And I love that influence because it is so important that we all not only are pushing into our businesses, but also are influencing those around us. That's my spiel. I want to ask more about marketing. So before we had talked about a little bit about building out a structure for your marketing, for marketing your business. Can you talk about what it looks like to build out a structure for your business?
So we have a 72-point process to launching any product. I'm not going to get into the 72 points.
It's a lot
That's
of
what
points.
right. That's what we go through with our VIP experiences. So, but the big core components of it are understanding both why you're doing it, what you're doing, and how you're going to do it. So we look at in Invert, which is the name of our company. It didn't used to stand for an acronym, but we figured out how to make it stand for an acronym. So it's impact. I is for impact. So what is the impact you're going to make on the world? And understanding that is actually one of the most important parts of your marketing. Your niche is the second part, because if you don't know why you're going to do what you're going to do and who you're going to do it for, then there's really no way that your marketing is going to do anything. And even seasoned marketers like myself and our team, we will go and we'll launch something really quickly, and then about a week or 2 weeks later, we'll go like, why isn't this producing? And it's because we forgot to set a niche.
Wow.
So make sure that you're not in a rush to set up a launch, because it takes time. It definitely takes time to build it out and set it up and go through all the each of the 72 points. The third thing is your vision. So your impact is really why you're doing it for the community or the niche that you're doing it for. The vision is the heart of why you're doing it, and it's really for yourself, and it helps enroll in others into the culture of your company, helps you attract in the right team members, which is a really important component. It helps you with your marketing as well. So all three of those components are really closely related. Once you have all three of those, then you can go in and you can look at your engagement, which is your marketing. How are you attracting? How are you building a relationship? How are you connecting with your target market? From there, you go into your sales part, or what we call the recommendation, because it's not about selling them whatever it is that you're currently offering. It's about building the right offer for them. And what we found is that in every single case, when you work with a client to give them what they really need, the number of things that they will buy from you doubles and triples. So, it's people are like, well, I just want to sell them this one thing. Well, if you just want to sell them that one thing and they don't need it, then they're not going to buy anything from you. But if you have a conversation with them, and this can all be done through automated online systems, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of work throughout the process, and knowing exactly what kind of customer they are, and segmenting and all that sort of stuff. But being able to build that relationship and say, okay, well, if you need this, this, and this, then this product, which I thought might be a good fit for you, will solve just one part of your problem. But really what you need is, and could benefit from, is this, and all these 3 or 4 things bundled together. And one of the things that has just been incredible for us is, like, I had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and the initial conversation was this started actually before the new year, but the initial conversation was he's setting up a set of events, and we're going to be launching those events for him. It was $30,000, and for him that was a lot. And he's like, "Look, I'm not able to invest that." So I was like, "Okay." And came back after the new year, after we had launched a new program, a new service, set of services, and basically is a different way to sell the same thing. It was really what it was, um, and it was going to be, I think it was going to be something like 7,000 upfront and $1,500 a month, something like that. And he like broke it down. And he's like, "Wait, for only like $10,000 more, I can get what I originally wanted." I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly right."
Huh.
And we ended up signing at the $30,000, for $30,000.
Wow.
And we set up a payment and investment plan for him, and set it up so it worked for him and worked for us too. We wanted to make sure that it was mutually beneficial. Um, but the biggest thing on that was that we co-created something with him versus just selling him what we thought he needed. And we were willing to say, "You know what, this is what you want. Like, this is where you're at currently, both financially and with what you're looking for. Here's what we can do for you," versus saying, "Oh, sorry, we only have this $30,000 offer. Right? There's nothing I can do for you." And it ended up being the same. It ends up in the same amount of revenue that we would have never gotten if we weren't willing to be flexible and to work with them. So that was a kind of an in-depth on that. The last part, which is honestly where most companies, even the companies that failed, the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies that failed, this is where they really fell short. And that's, delivering the service that you say you're going to deliver.
Uh-huh.
It seems oh yeah, like I know I should do that, but the number of companies and the number of people who sell, and then don't deliver, uh, is just is an absolute it's an astonishing number, which is one of the reasons why there's the statistic that 9 out of 10 businesses fail within their first, depending on which statistic you're looking at, it could be 1 year or 5 years, right? And that's really a big component to making sure that if you deliver, now you can get testimonials, now you can get referrals, now now you can find out what their next problem is, because your customers will tell you what their next problem is, which means that you can either send them to a joint venture and make a commission that way, or you can bring them in for another offer from your company and earn revenue that way. So that's kind of in a big picture, in a nutshell, right?
No, I really do love what you're talking about. I think it's in my brain, it doesn't take 72 steps. It doesn't take 72 steps to create a business, to create a brand. And I love what you're talking about, because the truth is it does. And it does take a ton of time and a ton of attention and a ton of focus to actually get that brand to where you want it to be. My notes are full. I love that you guys created an acronym out of your name that actually applies to your business, because it totally does. Like, I'm looking at my notes right now as I was taking notes as you were talking, and I love impact, niche, vision. Like, these are things that we should be legitimately diving into, that we're not, probably the majority of us aren't thinking about 24/7 and aren't processing through. What are some of the things you and your team do to help people focus more on these ideas?
So the biggest thing that we do is we do a VIP experience, which starts with dinner and ends with something like skydiving or jet skiing, or we're doing zip lining with one of our clients, and I mean, it's just doing something fun. So and it's like, why would you package it like that? Because I want to get to know who they are.
Huh.
I want to know why they're doing what they're doing. And that helps us as a marketing company actually get the soul of what they really envision into the marketplace. And we spend 2 days in a room. Really, it's 12 hours a day, but we only spend about 6 to 8 hours of each day actually on a whiteboard. And behind me, this is actually a whiteboard behind me. I can write on my wall.
That's awesome.
So, and the room is, I think it's like a 26-foot wall too. So like we map the entire thing out. And it's a really cool experience for them, a really cool experience for us. And we are able to map, really dive deep into each section of their company, each section of the launch, and go from there. And it helps them really. Most of this stuff is while it helps us with our marketing, it's not for us. It's not so that we can get behind their product. It's so that they can get behind their product or get behind the service that they're offering.
That's good.
And because, like you said, most people don't think about it. And for the, honestly, for the longest time, we used to only focus on the last 3 sections. And we would say, hey, look, it's like, yeah, we know that you have an impact to make. We want to know what your vision is. We go through your niche. But we used to spend basically an hour on it. And we found that when we just spent an hour on it, just to really get the notes down of, well, why are you doing this? What are you doing? The impact that they made wasn't anywhere near as powerful as when we spend a day on it. So we spend it on INV, on impact, niche, and vision. We spend one whole day on that. Wow. And then on ERT, so engagement, recommendations, and transformation, which is delivering the service, we spend an entire day on that too. And just that time alone is what helps us solidify and helps them solidify exactly where we're going with it. And the questions that we ask are when you do it as many times as I've done it, it seems kind of like those are the questions you should ask, but every single time we always get the same response. Like, this was the most incredible experience. This was the most profound. It was systematic. It was step by step. I love being able to know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, how I'm doing it. If customer buys product 3, what's the very next product that we're going to sell to them? And we know what the upsell, the downsell, the cross sell, and we build all of that into the process too. So it's not like, it's not like we're launching one program. When we launch a product or a service or a program, we have an entry point and an exit point. Most of the time, it's 5 to 7 different offers throughout that process. And when we really go in depth and we've only done this, the real in-depth version with one company, we actually go through 33 different products, upsells, downsells, services. And that's
my gosh.
That's a really big project though. I mean, that's literally, it's 2 years. It's a multi-million-dollar project where we're not, it's like when we build that out, that's a huge, huge endeavor. And it's actually the same process that Apple uses. If you've ever been into an Apple store and you've walked out with 3 more products than you thought you were going in for, it's because you're a product of the process the same process that we use. And it's an incredible experience on both sides. And it's always really cool to see the results of it. So
absolutely. Now, where is the best place if somebody wants to get in touch with you about going through this whole process, meeting with you guys? What's the best place they can go to find that?
Yeah. If you want to have a conversation with us, there's a cool bonus if you go through the link through you guys and through the podcast here with Online Empire Academy. If you want to go directly to us, just mention Online Empire Academy and we'll get you hooked up with the cool bonuses. And you can go to invertinc.com. You can download our blueprint, which has literally made millions of dollars. And you can also, right after that, you'll get invited to an application. So you can apply to work with us. You can go and schedule your appointment. We go over your application, have an hour conversation with you, discover exactly what would be the best fit. And from there, we can work with you one-on-one if it's a fit. Or we also refer to what others would consider competitors, but we're partnered with other marketing firms who might be a better fit. So if we're not the right fit, we partner up and we'll send you off and get a partner fee for that.
That's perfect.
So and I'm totally like raw, and like I don't hide anything. If people are afraid of making money, then we're probably not the right company for you. And so yeah, we talk about the money. We love to talk about the money because our goal. So we have actually 4 pillars, and I should have probably started with this, but 4 pillars to working with us. The very first is that you're here to make an impact with what you're bringing to the marketplace. The second is that you want to make a return on your investment. And I'm not just talking about a revenue, but I'm talking about making profits with what you're bringing to market, because you can't continue to make money if you're losing money. The third is that your community benefits as a result of what you're bringing to the marketplace. And fourth, and not least though, is that your company achieves its goals, not just financially, but also socially, intellectually, giving back in a big way if that's part of your goals. So we look at those 4 key components when we decide we want to work with a client. And as long as you're interested in making a difference, making a bunch of money doing it, helping out your community and achieving your company goals, then we are definitely here to have a conversation.
That's so cool. What a fantastic pillar or pillars to have. Well, guys, I mean, you heard it. If you want to go find out more about them, you can go to theonlineempireacademy.com/invert, or you can go to invertinc.com and just mention that you're coming from this podcast. So there's some cool bonuses that are going to come along with that. So Hawk, thank you so much for being on. I so appreciate just all the information that you brought to the table. I know I have notes. I'm going to go back through and listen to this, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And can I also leave everybody here with a gift, whether or not they decide to work with us?
Please, absolutely.
Awesome. So there we have a program called 52 Hours Free, and there's a special link at the bottom of the podcast here, or at the bottom of the wherever you're watching it, because I know this is broadcast on various platforms. Check the description, and there's a link for 52 hours free, which means you get 52 hours of complimentary, no-cost service of marketing and sales support over the course of the year. So it's 1 hour a week for 52 weeks. We require a credit card because of 2 reasons. 1, we want to make sure you're committed, and 2, because we want your credit card so that if you decide that you want to buy more stuff from us, we can charge the credit card on file, and we don't have to go through a whole bunch of paperwork. So that's really why we do it. It is free. You don't have to pay anything if you don't want to, but there are plenty of things that you can upgrade on the back end, which honestly is a no-brainer when you look at it. So take a look at that. We're also giving a special bonus for anybody who goes through the link below, where you're going to get an interview that we did with an expert in Amazon and eBay selling. So he literally breaks down what he does to sell physical products on Amazon and eBay, talks about the marketing components on that. And the program actually sells for like $200. The whole thing goes to charity. So we're going to give you that one key that one interview complimentary. You'll get a link to that after you purchase. So after you purchase the free offer too, so you're getting a whole bunch of cool stuff, and then you'll be able to continue on with that.
Perfect. Well, yeah, guys, all those links will be there. Just make sure that if you're on iTunes or Stitcher Radio or even Podbay, just go in and look in the notes section below that. If you guys want more information, you can go onto the YouTube page. We usually post all of those links there, and or the blog page on the Online Empire Academy. So again, thank you so much for being on, and thank you all the listeners who are here and who have listened through this whole podcast. I so appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the 52 hours and all the other goodies that are in there. So until next time, Empire, have a fantastic day.